Hi, everyone. This is Ray Phillips of Precision Driving Analytics. And I'm just continuing my tutorial videos on how to use VBox video software, which of course is a software that's used to create the scenes for HD2 systems. And today I'm going to talk about ranges, and it's probably something that a lot of people haven't messed with, but there's some neat things you can do with it, so I think it's worthwhile to go over what can be done with the range function. So with that said, let's dive in. Okay, so this is the same scene that I've been using in all these tutorial videos. Um, and just to make a little more room, I'm going to get a couple of these things out of the way. I'm going to move this one, and I'm going to move this one. All right, so now we got those out of the way. The range icon is this one up here. It's got the shifter pattern up there. So I'm going to click on that. If you click on that, you'll see what's in the library. These RPM ranges are defaults. These other ones down below are things that I've either taken from other scenes or created myself, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But probably one of the easiest things you can do with the range is to create, the gears. So, when you're in first gear, you want it to show one, the second gear, you want it to show two, etc. So I'm going to click on new, and it brings up this uh, checkerboard pattern that says double click to set the background image. Now, double clicking on that to set the background image, that's not setting the range. That's just setting the background. To be honest, I usually just make that transparent. So up here in the upper right, it says background is not set, and you can click on the box that says transparent. Now it's simply a blank background. To add the ranges and to set this to show gears, probably first thing you're going to do is come over here and click on can. Again, this is using the can of a Porsche Club Sport GT4 car. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to find gear. All right, so that parameter is now assigned. To add a value, I'm going to come down here to range. I'm going to click on add. And now I've got a choice. I've got text or I can select image. In this case, I'm just going to select text and I'm just going to put the number one in. So range one is going to be one. All right. So that's a decent size number. I can change the number size over here and I can change the color over here. So if we want it, say, a green, then we can do that. And then you could if you wanted a background, say yellow background or something, I would do it by just creating a rectangle or a circle or whatever you want and just putting it, behind this. Um, but we'll leave it the way it is right now. Um, this box can be resized, and if you click on the center, you can move that around within that box. Okay. Um, so let's just create our other gears here. So I'm going to do add again, and I'm going to say two. So this is the range. So range two is going to be two, add again, three, add again, four, add again, five, five, add again, six. So now if I put a test value in here, let's say I put 4.5. Well, it's going to give me five. Okay. And that's how the sensors are going to work. They're not going to be exactly four or exactly five. They're going to be some sort of number in between. But this is looking at a minimum of four and a maximum of five. So anything within that range will end up being five. So let's say we want four. Four ends up equaling four. That's what we want. But if I go to 4.1, then it ends up being five. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, so doing the gear as you can see, is super easy. Another way this is used quite a bit is with RPM. I'm sure if you've been using HD2 systems, you've seen the digital RPM displays. And so I'm going to pull up one of these default ones up here. I'll just pull up the first one, 0 to 10,000 range. And I'm going to see if I can move it. Yep. So I'll move it down here. And if I want to see, what values these are showing, or this display is going to show, I can just click on the range um, button, and you see default is not showing anything, but range one shows one box, and it goes basically 1 to 9. So if I click on 9, then that's all of them. So um, all of these little boxes are basically images. So you can see this image here. And what it's doing is, range one is just one box. Range two is two boxes. And, on down the line. So you create these boxes in a different software package. And so you're just basically creating a PNG file or JPEG file. Um, and what I like to use is Inkscape. There's a number of like vector programs. Um, the trick is to find a program that can resize what you're making without losing any of the depth. Okay, if that makes sense. So these gauges, like I can't do anything with this gauge. This is the way it is. I can't, change these boxes in here. So I would have to start from scratch to create a new one. Um, which is fine. So you can do that in a vector program as well. So you basically create your background, um, and then just keep building on that. So in this case, this is 9 different images, all with the background of this blue, fading RPM display. So that's all it's doing. It's just replacing the the JPEG or the PNG file, the vector file, every time that the range changes, from the data. So what I would need to do with this, if I use this as default, is to assign it to engine speed or RPM, however it's labeled. In this case, it's engine speed. And then if I put a test value in of 8,000, then it gives me, all those bars. Um, and again, it's just changing the image. All right, so let's see how to do that a little bit. So uh, I'm sure everybody's heard of Flagtronics now. Um, it's a cool system in my opinion, but what it does is every car's got a Flagtronic system in their car. And if a full course yellow comes out, then it shows yellow, and the green flag drops, it shows green, and it even does local yellows or even individual car um, signals. And one cool thing about that is that it sends out a CAN message every time it receives a radio signal. So I've messed around with this and I've seen how it's used. This is actually used in like IMSA as well. I'm not sure if it's Flagtronics there, but they use the same type of deal. The Porsche 992 Cup cars in that series had to run a specific scene, and that scene had flags pop up when a signal is sent to, whatever system that they're using. And those flags again, the CAN messages and all were incorporated in that scene. So um, I've played around with this a little bit. So I'm going to pull up a different scene. All right. So in this scene, I've got, full track state, local track state, individual track state. Again, these are all just CAN messages. So I click on full track state, actually, let's go over to the can and you'll see that, like here's full track state and, behind this it's got a bunch of basically different numbers being sent, through um, the radio, or through the Flagtronic system through CAN. Um, you can ignore this brake pressure one. Not sure why that's there, but anyway, there's full track state, local track state, individual track state, and displayed state. So um, if I go back to the scene and then click on the full track state box, you'll see that the parameter is CAN with full track state. And if I click on the first range, then that's safety car. And second range is red flag, green, um, white flag, and on down the line. So a number of different flags can show up there. So pretty cool. So you can create, basically anything you want. So these are just all the different ones that I've created and gotten from others as well. It's neat to be able to see the flags in the video, especially if there's like if scrutineering is looking at your video and stuff, they can see exactly when the flag came out. And maybe, they're saying that you passed under yellow. Well, this is going to prove it one way or the other, so um, sometimes it's going to be beneficial for you, sometimes it's not probably. But anyway, pretty neat how you can do that. So let's go back to our other scene. All right, so let's say we want to do something a little different, and a little fun. Why don't we have the two words "let's go" pop up whenever the car hits 150 miles an hour. So as long as the car is going over 150 miles an hour, "let's go" is going to be showing on the video. So the first thing that we have to do is create "let's go." Um, Now we could do that with text, but let's create an image. Okay. So how are we going to create that image? We're going to use Inkscape. So I have Inkscape already open. That's this software here. And I believe this is free. I think it's a free download. Um, so to create Let's Go, I'm just going to come over here and start typing. So we'll put three exclamation points, and I can change the font and um, all that, the color, all that stuff. I could even add, some sort of image, other image to this if I want. But we'll just keep it simple for this. And by the way, so if you get back to being able to select stuff by clicking on the arrow over here, I don't want this to turn into a Inkscape tutorial, but that's just one basic thing. So where it is fine. I can move it if I want to, but the most important thing is the size of it. Okay, so the size of the box that you create in VBox video is going to dictate the size that you can use for your image. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Let's say that we make this thing bigger. If I want to size it in the document itself, I can do it that way. Um, I can make it wider this way. So it's a vector program. So whatever we do here is it gonna keep all the detail. I'll put it that way. And that's the benefit of using a vector program, because sometimes when you resize, you lose some of the detail of the image. But a vector program won't do that. So over over here, this is going to dictate the size of the image that gets exported. And I'm on the exported um, icon here on the right, and over here you can change the color and all this other stuff, other tools. So I'm just going to stay on export here. Um, and this down here at the bottom is telling me where it's going to go, when it's going to be called. So right now it's going to be called text1.svg, which is um, a, uh, a vector program extension that Inkscape uses. So I'm going to change that to PNG, Portable Networks Graphic, and I'm going to call it Let's Go, and I'll hit save. And now we're going to see if we can import this into VBox video. So um, if I do that, what I'm going to do is just click on the range again, and I'm going to say new. And again, I'm going to make the background transparent. And I'm going to add, and it's got an image there. So there's my image. So I'm going to say open that. And not a surprise, it's saying this image exceeds the maximum size of 250 by 250 pixels. So it's unable to set it as the range image. So the default is 250 by 250. If I move this over a little bit and make this much bigger and then do it, so it's got range two. Every time you do that, it goes to the next range. So I'm just going to remove those. I'm going to remove range one, and it's on default now. So when I add, it's going to be range one. I'm going to change that to image, and let's go, and we'll open. So that worked. So that's how big that's going to be. Um, Now I can resize it in here, and that's fine. So that's an easy way to deal with that. So if for some reason you can't import something because of the thing being too big, or there's even too small, then there's two ways you can change that. You can change it here, just by resizing, or you can change it back in the Inkscape. So I could export this as a much smaller image as well. And when you're dealing with things with a lot of detail, that's probably the best way to go. Because when I was messing with the flags, I noticed that it was better that the image was clearer if I exported it as a smaller size and then brought it in, because I'm going to be displaying it, as a much smaller image. Um, so anyway, so now we have that. Let's go back to VBox video, and I could put it right in the center, or I could move it around wherever I want. I can put it up here. Obviously I can move this anywhere. Um, so we got speed. Let's say we want it in miles an hour, and my my minimum is going to be 150. So I got to set my maximum first. So let's say we'll set it to 1,000 miles an hour. Obviously, it's not going to go that fast. So minimum is 150, max is 1,000. Um, and my test value, let's say it's 0. Test value is say 140, then it goes away. Okay. So if I change it to 150, then it pops up. So every time the car hits 150 miles an hour, this is going to pop up. Let's go. Okay, so hopefully this gives you pretty good understanding of how to use the range function. Um, it's when you start creating different images and stuff like that, like if you want to do different things for RPM, that's the way to do it. And It can take a little bit of time to do RPM if you have a bunch of little boxes like some of the VBox video scenes have. Um, but it can be done, and once you get used to using it, it's not so hard. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.